So we're not here for no cheerleaders, man. Okay, we're not here for that. That's not why we put listens up. Okay, we're not chasing the fucking the topic, and peak niggerdom, man, and niggatry. Okay, we're going into these current events. We're going into prophecy. We're going into the economy. Okay, all right, we're going into why the 2/3 are the way they fucking are. And there's no salvation for them. All right, only until the kingdom. Okay, but we're not in the fucking world of sports. All right, we ain't in goddamn the shade room. Only if it's pertaining, to something that we can teach a edifying lesson on, man. Whether it be women, all right, whether it be these 2/3, these YNs, you know, and going into the prophecy of how our people, became this way. All right, how they became that degenerate vine. All right, but we ain't gonna do it just to be on a damn podcast. All right, like Tazariak. All right, and like Alazar. You know, hey, Captain, to Captain, sorry. The Captain Tazariak. Got a question for you. If you doing all the same things that Alazar was doing on all these podcast shows and amongst all these people of the world, what makes you think your fate is going to be any different than his? Because the middle of the Lord ain't on all these damn platforms, man. Ain't in Esau face, trying to get some fucking camera time. All right. And even when you do, think, hey, consider this. When you see this guy, Salakia, it's kind of off topic, but I'm just, rolling through the spirit. You know, when you see Tazariak, why he not getting kicked off these podcasts? You know, why he not cutting these motherfuckers so much to where they like, damn, okay, we're not even gonna show the interview. We're not even gonna show the whole interview. We're gonna cut it. We're gonna clip it. But this nigga going on podcasts and they not even clipping the shit. They're not even cutting it. All right, because he's not speaking the truth, man. He's not speaking the whole truth, man. Okay, and he fucking being nice and friendly to these guys, man. All right, he's being a respecter of persons when he go on these platforms. He's saying, "Oh, look, hey, my platform lower than yours. All right, but I'm gonna try to use this knowledge, and corral you. All right, and gain notoriety and attention. All right, off of your popularity, man. All right, while all being a damn nice guy, man. Okay, because yeah, you'll call a so-called white person an Edomite, that you do the platform with, but you don't tell them their future. All right. You don't tell them that they're gonna be in slavery and bondage, all right, to Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. And eventually they're gonna be put in a bonfire after 1,000 years of captivity. Okay. How many platforms you think you're gonna go to after that, man? After you say that, after you tell the people about the MOTB, okay, that's coming to the planet Earth. When you tell them that America is gonna be destroyed by thermonuclear missiles, all right. But when you get on these platforms, I don't hear that come out of your mouth, okay? Because you know how to stay on camera, nigga. You know, you know how to stay out the way. All right, so Esau let you keep getting your little crumbs. You know, but the day one of the GMS apostles get a camera in front of their face, you know, Esau's gonna be flipping their shit. Losing their damn mind. And it may happen eventually through the spirit. Because scripture go into that. When them judges, all right, and them lawmen bring us in and try to persecute us, the things that are gonna come out of our mouth are gonna be through Yahweh shot, man. So they're gonna be powerful, and they're gonna cut this devil, all right, and his whole rulership and the heathen, you know, and that's gonna make a lot of man, hey man, because the 1/3 is not the majority. 2/3 is the majority of Israel and Babylon, all right, but 1/3 is a lot of people, man. Okay, even with the multitude of a lot of women that's going to be given to the elect, it's still a lot of room in there, man. So when brothers is getting persecuted, All right, and Jake is hearing it on the TV. All right, they seeing it in person or in a courtyard. You know, at a brother's execution or something like that. You know, and Jake is sitting there seeing that or watching it on TV, and they see what's the so-called judgment, what's the accusation? They're gonna be like, what the fuck, you know? All he said was that the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans were the true children of Israel, you know, and about our captivity, all right, and about the kingdom that we got to come, all right, and the wickedness that this devil is about to do on the planet Earth, or it is doing at that time, you know, and Jake is gonna convert, you know, Jake is gonna convert, all right. When they see that, you know, they're gonna be moved, you know, all right. So hey, brothers are gonna lose their lives, you know, in this thing, man. You know, and that's gonna wake up a lot of people, you know, when they see that. All right, because hey, it's gonna be like, you know, when Yahushua was persecuted, you know, Pilate was like, God damn, like this man ain't did nothing. This man is innocent. He ain't got no crimes or nothing he didn't did. He ain't stole from nobody. He ain't killed nobody. What was wrong with y'all? You know? And he washed his hands of it. You know, which shows you in our time, I mean, we are just brothers are just, you know, upright citizens. You know, we follow the Constitution, as they say. You know, we go to work and shit. Brothers be working their ass off, man. Brothers blue collar as hell. You know, ain't got no fucking crazy ass charges and all this weird shit. You know, so a lot of Jake are gonna come around, man. They say, man, this is some bullshit. This is the same shit you devils always fucking do. You know. So I just want to go over this little tweet, you know, real quick that Trump made, you know, over the weekend, man. All right, showing you that this nigga is the Mad King, man. Okay, and the Apostle Tahar did a lesson, you know, today going into this dude, man. He's a madman, you know. He said Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the effing straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise, praise be to Allah. President Donald J. Trump, man. Okay? So you ain't never seen no world leader or the president speak like this, man. Okay, and words have meanings, man. Words make shit happen. You know, so when you see this, you should see through the spirit. All right, we're in a time like no other, man. Okay, and we're gonna be out of here pretty soon, man. You got presidents, you know, talking like fucking mobsters and gangsters and shit. You know, and this is the man that holds the key to the nuclear button. You know, this is a man who has the hammer of the earth under his hand. You know, which we know ultimately, you know, the Most High is controlling his ass. You know, but this is the power that he hold. You know, according to the world. You know, and he's talking big shit. All right, about Iran, man. Which I'm excited. I'm trying to see what's gonna happen. All right, either tonight, because we know this Esau, he might just do it tonight. You know, what's gonna happen tomorrow? You know, is he gonna fucking pump fake again? All right, because them Persians say they're not surrendering. All right, and if they do get a deal going, it's gonna be in their favor. Okay, and we know Esau don't like that shit. This Psalm chapter 55 and verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. You know, and wasn't this guy saying that he was the peace president? He did, and he keep acting like he keeps saying, you know, he the Messiah. You know, he think he's the man of peace, man. Okay, he said he should have got a Nobel Peace Prize. You know, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. You know, told you Edomites, you 6-pack crackers. Yeah, we're gonna get all of them. We'll get all the goddamn immigrants out of here. You know, we're gonna get them all out. We're gonna round them up. You know, smooth, man. That nigga Donald T is smooth. You know, if you a Jake, you know, you see through his ass. You know, because he's a conniving ass nigga. You know, if you look at any of his history, you know that he's a scumbag. He's a serpent. You know, but if you hey, you know, Jake is used to that shit though. Jake is used to them con men, and Jake is used to swindlers, man, and shiesty niggas. But you Edomites, you know, if you see another Edomite, you definitely gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. All right, even though the Jake is honest and he got morals, you know, you'll bypass that to fuck with one of your own. All right, even though he's a degenerate nigga, even though he's a Epstein Island nigga, you know, or wigger, Epstein Island wigger, man, you know. So that's what you got, you know. You a devil any damn way. So the Most High gave you a good old devil, all right, to bring on the end of your kingdom, man, and the end of your rulership. It said the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Drawn swords. So the scriptures say, but war was in his heart, man, and war been in his heart. Okay, it never stopped being in his heart. All right, you know they got that statistic that show that it's only a brief period, you know, when America wasn't at war in some part of the earth. You know, so this is this man's nature, man. This is Esau's nature. All right, he was given the blessing of the sword. Okay, but you people think that politics and all this bullshit and voting, all right, gives you an opinion, gives you a choice. All right, if that's the case, why is the majority of America, all right, Babylon against this war? It's only like 20% of Americans that are in favor of this war. Okay, so what the fuck do voting get you? You know, especially for you Jakes, you got to be a damn fool. You know, but that's all I got. You know, I pray this lesson is edifying and shalom.